Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Toffee TV with the Bleacher Report Team Stream app. It is Baz, it is Ped, and we're here to talk about international blues. It's the first weekend of the qualifying rounds for the European Championships in France in 2016. We're going to look at all those blues playing in it so far. We're going to start with England because that's the one we can remember most because it was only last night. So let's get straight into it. Obviously, Leighton Baines starting at left back, normal position. John Stones starting at right back, not a normal position. He can't even get in the Everton team at centre back yet. He's playing internationally at right back. Is this a way of just shoehorning him in the team by Roy Hodgson because he just likes him so much?
Possibly, but he started as a right back. So this is where I can't get my head around. A lot of people who say he looks uncomfortable at right back or he can't play there because he got into Barnsley's team at right back and was bought by Everton as a right back who could potentially move into a central position. I think Roy Hodgson has been very impressed with what he's done in the Everton side. Obviously had them at close quarters before the World Cup, played in a couple of friendlies, played at right back in those games, by the way, hasn't played centre half for England, so probably no surprise he's come in there. I think it does two things. I think the first thing is it highlights just what a good prospect John Stones is. Fantastic on the ball. Very much in a kind of Rio Ferdinand kind of able to bring the ball out, so comfortable in possession. Reminds me very much of a continental defender rather than an English defender. And second fold is it highlights the fact that England are just rubbish at right backs. They just don't do right backs very well.
You think that's half the thing? Do you think he's looked at it, Roy Hodgson, and thought, right, I'll put him in at right back. He's young, he can learn that position because he's so good. And he's played there for the under-21s as well, so that's nothing to be sniffed at, and it's just that maybe that we don't recognise him so much as a right back that it seems alien to us.
I think the problem with Everton recognising him as a right back is that he's got Seamus Coleman in front of him, who is such a dynamic fullback. I think if John Stones was coming in, no disrespect to Tony Hibbert, but kind of coming in like for like with Hibbert, we'd all be pairing over how good he is on the ball, John Stones, and how he gets involved and joins in the play. The fact is, he's got Seamus Coleman in at right back, who is probably, for me, one of the best right backs in Europe. Absolutely fantastic. So he's a massive miss when he's not in the team. And I think John's been exceptional at centre-half for us where he's played. So it's one of those where you see a player in a position and he excels at, and then he kind of gets moved out into a different position. You're always looking at him thinking, he really should be in the middle. And especially when, certainly for Everton, the lads in the middle aren't playing as well as they should be. You're going to be looking at him to come back in there.
But it's not terrible for us because if you look at it in the way of a squad, we have got Seamus Coleman, then it would look like John Stones is the second in favour of playing right back if he's not playing centre back. He started the season here playing against Leicester, so from that point of view, maybe the more games he plays internationally at right back, the better it is for us because he's learning that position and he's not learning it playing for us, so we're not losing anything in that way.
Definitely, but it's also good for us because he's getting games. He's not a natural starter for Everton, which again, it kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit that I thought the internationals are supposed to be the best 11 players who play regularly, but it's a win-win for Everton because he's going away, he's learning to play against some of the best players around, the top of their game. He's playing for this country, it's a feather in his cap, it's confidence, and he's getting game time, so it can only benefit us, whether that be at right back or centre half. It doesn't really matter. It's games, what players want, and he's looking there thinking, well, I can't force my way into the Everton side, but I'm playing for my country, and there's not too many people who play for England who can't get in their own club side.
And if anything, on the England game, when he was making mistakes, it was actually only when he was going forward, trying to break into the opposition half. I noticed he lost the ball a couple of times trying to get forward, but defensively, he does his job quite straightforwardly. It's just that I think sometimes youthful exuberance. He's trying to get down that wing. He's trying to create the option of some width, and that's where maybe sometimes falls short. But defending wise, you can't really fault him. I don't think too much.
I think he was very, very good. I know there was one that the brilliantly observant Andy Townsend picked up, said he'd made a mistake because he'd overhit a ball, but he'd actually intercepted a through ball. He just cut it out. Unfortunately, he blocked it and it went to them and they had half a chance from it. I think you're right. I think when he's having to defend and it's from a defensive standpoint, he's fine. I think, obviously, like you say, he wants to get forward, he wants to support. And it doesn't help looking at Coleman at Everton, does it, seeing him just bomb on? He's probably thinking, that's what I need to do. But no, he done really, really well. And I thought Baines was excellent as well.
Well, I was going to come to Baines. For me, I thought this was Leighton Baines' best game in an England shirt. I know the opposition weren't up to that much. I know the English media would like you to think that Switzerland was some wonder team, but they're not. They're a very, very average side with a couple of good players in them who are very hit and miss. Yeah. But I thought he looked very, very comfortable in his own skin, which has been something that we've always said, playing for England, that he didn't. He always seemed to make mistakes or do things for England or not do things for England that week in and week out.
Do you know what I think it was? Particularly this latest game. I think it's helped him, the fact that England were poor in the World Cup and Baines was poor by our standards, what we know him by. And there's been a little bit of a cull. He's got rid of Gerrard and Lampard, and maybe he's lost a little bit of that inferiority complex. No Ashley Cole in the squad anymore, no John Terry, no Steven Gerrard, no Frank Lampard. All of a sudden, he's looking around and thinking, actually, I'm one of the better players in this squad. He's a senior player, he's comfortable. And the other thing that shone for me was the inclusion of Fabian Delph, because Delph always wanted the ball off him. Now, if you look at that World Cup, every time Baines got the ball out of his feet, people were looking the other way. It didn't matter whether it was Rooney in front of him, Sterling in front of him, Welbeck in front of him, Gerrard supposed to be coming and getting it. They all turned away from him, and it kind of isolated Baines. And one of the biggest assets he has at the likes of Everton is, and especially when he has someone like Pienaar in front of him, he likes to give it and go. Yeah. And he likes players to face up and take it off him, because he's very much a footballer that moves around the pitch, Baines. He doesn't stand still. And I think having the likes of Fabian Delph, who I thought was very good, considering it was like, you know, his first game, whatever. Because he offered so many times, it made Baines more comfortable in, he knew he could give it and get it back. And then Rooney started doing the same, then he was linking up, giving him it back. And I think you're right, I think it was probably his best game.
And the shape helped as well, because obviously they're playing that diamond midfield, and as you're saying, that gives him more protection for when he goes forward. And it wasn't just, I mean, we've seen it in the World Cup, a forward playing in front of him, we just leave him all the time, and we know he got crucified. And at times, you can understand why, but from our point of view, it was more because he was doing things that he doesn't normally do. And I just thought, playing for England, this was one of the first times I've seen him, and he just looked like the Everton player. Yeah. He was getting the ball, he was giving it, it was very, very comfortable. Okay, yeah, he was still making the odd mistake, but the mistakes were coming from trying to get forward and trying to beat players, not necessarily, you know, stupid things. He was playing his own game, simple as that.
Leighton Baines' biggest qualities are in the final third. Yeah, he can defend, we know he can, doesn't stop crosses, which he should do better. But in terms of what he brings to you, he's like a winger, nearly playing left back, and it's in that final third. And they were terrified of him. He put some cracking balls in, and his link-up play around the box was superb, and that's what England need. They need more creativity, and if he's settled now and feels as though I actually belong here, there's been a cull in the summer, I've survived it, I'm the number one left back, then I think he'll grow from there.
And funny enough as well, the fact that John Stones is playing right back probably helps him as well, because John Stones is not expected to get forward, so therefore you're going to have three. You're going to have more of the attacking play from the midfield on the right hand side, whereas on the left hand side it's more of a defensive play. So that probably helps him as well. So Everton players helping each other out. Another player that came on later on was Phil Jagielka as well. Came on for an injured Phil Jones. A lot of people on Twitter, and it was funny because they were all Everton fans, were really worried at that point. It was 1-0 to England. They were thinking, right, that's it. England are going to concede. But it came on, and I think he had something like 16 interceptions in such a very, very short time. He threw himself about. It was last-ditch defending. It was old-fashioned defending. The Jagielka were...
Old-fashioned Phil Jagielka.
Yeah, the Phil Jagielka we're used to seeing. And that can only help him. That can only inspire his confidence and think, right, I am a good defender. And it's about time I get back to basics. And he was having to do that last night for England. And I was really happy with that, because I was watching 3 Everton defenders. Obviously, 2 are currently in the side. playing football the way it should be played and defending the way it should be done as well.
Definitely, he came on into the game at Switzerland's best moment really in the game. They were in the ascendancy at that time, and it was looking as though they might get an equaliser. And come on, got a couple of good early touches in, couple of good clearances from couple of good headers, blocks, and you could see him. His confidence. It looked as though his confidence lifted towards. I know he was only on for 15 minutes, but to finish the game with the back four and 3 at Everton defenders and 3. When we haven't started the season, great. Yeah. So, the likes of Baines played last week and Stones had a little goal last week as we played last week as well, and Jags came on in that one, done the same last night. They come away with 2 clean sheets now. That's massive for us because at club level we conceded 10 in the first 3. So for them, that's a confidence booster. They'll go back to Finch Farm feeling good about represented the country, kept clean sheets, all played well in what they've done. Massive confidence. And
it also shows you that you can make defensive substitutions in the last 15 minutes of games and it won't kill you.
To be fair, it was forced.
I know it was forced, but this is something we've remarked about before. You look at defenders and sometimes they look out on the feet and you think just replace them. But it's not a Roberto Martinez thing. It's a general thing in football. They won't do it.
Replace a forward.
But they won't. It's a strange thing. I can't get my head around. Right, let's move on to Ireland, who were probably one of the most impressive performances of the weekend. Obviously, we had McGeady in there, we had James McCarthy in there, and we had Coleman in there. On paper, it looked a very, very tricky tie, having to go to George. How'd you say it? Georgia, that's it. Going to Georgia. But McGeady, who is the enigma of all football. And I've spoke to Ireland fans, I've spoke to Celtic fans, and they all tell me the same thing. He's just an enigma of football. He's just, 1 minute he's doing something fantastic, and the next minute he looks very average. Now, I think that's a general trait of being a winger, an old-fashioned winger. But this was a game where everything seemed to come together for him. Now, it's the first goal, I thought, lovely move from Ireland, and a fantastic little ball by James McCarthy, right into his path, and a really good finish to set Ireland going.
Brilliant goal, great movement. Movement very similar to Stephen Naismith's goal against Chelsea for Everton, where Robbie Keane runs to the right and takes half of the Georgian defence, and McCarthy just slips a lovely little ball ahead of McGeady, and a really good finish because the keeper come rushing out to him and he's just dinked it over him with his left foot, and it was a confident finish, from there he got better and better. And he is a frustrating player because he's a winger. That's what you get from wingers. He's an old-fashioned winger. He's not a modern wide forward. He's a player who likes to take people on. He's not great going the other way, that's all. He doesn't track back anywhere near enough as what he should do. Maybe he's being asked to play in the wrong position at times. Maybe in a 4-3-3 he should be in with a flat 3 behind him because he doesn't track back as well. But when he gets it right, he's very, very difficult to mark. He's full of tricks. Just his movement, his touch, his ability on the ball is frightening. I think one of the biggest things with Aidan McGeady is he reminds me a little bit of Peter Beagley for old Everton fans. Is that he'll beat the man easily, and then he hesitates and he goes back again, and you're thinking, if you just get a yard, beat him and put a cross in, you'll become 10 times the player you are. But he's got so much ability, it's unreal.
Yeah, obviously Georgia then equalised with a stunning goal of their own, and then last minute,
people blame the goalie for that.
No, I just thought it was phenomenal. Last minute, Seamus Coleman whips a ball into the box. It falls to McGeady. Now he's done this trick before. If there's obviously we all know about the Cruyff turn. Well, this is the McGeady turn. Oh, it's where amazing. You literally do a Cruyff turn, but then you use your other foot to flick it out into space, and then he bends it superbly into the corner. I think the keeper could have done slightly better, but that's just being from
it's right in the corner. Go and watch it. It was perfect.
I'm not quite sure about that, but he's just won them the game. Confidence is so high. Coleman's involved in the goal as well, and from an Everton point of view, having 3 players on the pitch to get a win under the belt as well, they'll come back soaring. But something that what been mentioned to me since that game by a Celtic and an Ireland fan is, could we see McGeady maybe move into a more central area for Ireland and therefore get more responsibility, get more touches
for Ireland?
For Ireland, get more touches in the game, be a bigger part of the game as Ireland go forward, because Robbie Keane's not getting any younger. He's still got a fantastic goal scoring record, but Robbie Keane's a goal scorer, you might still need that little bit of creative spark behind him. And McGeady, I think if he could play in that role and get more and get more and more involved in the game, that might develop his all-round game better for playing for Everton.
Possibly, I think Ireland are at one of them stages now, aren't they? With obviously Keane has been their focal point for years, and his record's phenomenal at international level for Ireland, and they've not really got anyone else who can play up there. After Shane Long is hit and miss, he's a good runner, he's a great sub with 15 to go. I think Jonathan Walters does a great job out on the right because he's such a hard worker. In fact, I thought he was fantastic the other day, Walters, at everything else other than centre forward play. So maybe there is that cause now. If you wanted to play Walters up front with McGeady off more Keane, have McGeady in that 10 because he's got the likes of McCarthy behind him. He's got Glenn Whelan. Anyway, but he's got players who will dig in for you in there. You know, he's got the other kid, Quinn, who will run around and put his foot in.
Well, and also, there's Darren Gibson sitting on the bench who played 70 minutes the other day as well. So that's fantastic that he played 70 minutes.
I think with the likes of McGeady, because there's that temptation, because he is that kind of old-fashioned winger, to stick him out wide, and you'll get probably 30% from him out wide of great stuff and 70% either anonymous and, you know, totally anonymous in a game or not doing what he should be doing. I think if you put him in the middle, he has to have more touches, like you're saying. The goal demonstrated that he can go both ways with the ball. It was just a brilliant finish. And it wouldn't have happened if he'd have been stuck out on the wing. Well,
exactly, because the problem is, this is what we've seen more and more in recent years, is players who play on the wing. Ronaldo, it's happened to Bale, where they play on the wing and they can only go one way. So it restricts how much football they can use.
But that's fine for one-footed players, but this kid isn't one-footed.
But when any of these players, though, when they become more centrally, they find that more space, they can go left, they can go right. It opens the game up for themselves and they become more creative players.
There is also an argument for McGeady, certainly at a club level, playing in a Ross Barkley role, especially while Barkley's not around, because again, because he is so good with either foot, you know, you could see him linking up quite nicely with the likes of Stephen Naismith or Romelu Lukaku, so maybe that'll give him...
But what's good is, and this goes back to what I was saying about John Stones, is if they're playing it at international level, obviously Martin O'Neill really likes McGeady and I think is prepared to stick him in there and give him more responsibility. If they're doing it at international level...
Celtic, didn't he? And liked him at Celtic. So.
If he's doing it at international level, he can only come back and help us, where we don't have to stick him there and it's almost like a risk for a game. He can learn that a little bit more. The same with John Stones playing right back, so it can only be good for Everton. I know a lot of Everton fans really don't like international football because they say when they go away they get injured and stuff. But
I don't like it, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's happening.
And you've got to take the benefits from it, and I think this is where we are taking the benefits from here and saying really where it can help us. So that was Ireland. They got a good 2-1 victory. In their group as well, Scotland, who played Germany. That's going to be interesting when Scotland and Ireland play each other, especially Martin O'Neill going back to Celtic Park, I think, to play Scotland. And Naismith has just been phenomenal again, hasn't he? You know, he's coming to this game flying with confidence, and although Scotland got beat, they were very, very unfortunate, and Naismith's had another great game. He's hit the post, he's terrorised the German defence and really given something to think about.
Yeah, he was excellent again, wasn't he? Not surprising really, given the way he started the season. Was unlucky with the one that hit the post, had another good shot, and was involved in a talking point really where the lad could have got sent off for bringing him down, and it looked like a goal scoring opportunity. And just remember reading the other day Yogi Love or Joachim Low or however you want to pronounce his name, talking about identifying Naismith as the danger man, and I just thought to myself, you know, what an unbelievable 12 months turnaround he's had since that. Probably at Chelsea game really last September under Roberto Martinez, and what Martinez has done for him is he knew Kilmarnock, he knew where he likes to play, and he's given him that confidence. And you know, Naismith had given an interview himself talking about how inferior he'd felt at Everton, you know, and only really the last since Christmas he started to feel at home here, and that's shown in his confidence. The goals have come. You know, we often mention that he's probably the best finisher we've got at the club. And he started this season with an absolute bang, hasn't he? 3 goals in 3 games. Great performance for Scotland. And hopefully he'll take that into the West Brom game now and carry on.
Yeah, and this time last year, I don't think he'd even get in the Scotland team either, you know, which is not exactly full of top players, you know. And he's got in there, he's made it his own. He's number 9, he looks like, you know, he's the man now. And
he's an old-fashioned Scottish centre-forward for me. He works hard, he's great in the air, he likes to tackle. he likes a little bit of a snarl, he's a little bit snide at times, isn't he? And that's what you want, and you want that hunger and work rate, and that sets the tone for everybody else. And I know Gareth Barry was waxing lyrical about him, saying there's not many people who then he run 9.5 miles in one of the recent games, so it just shows you how much effort and work rate he puts in, and that's great.
Yeah, and Scotland got beat 2-1, but it's the toughest game out the way now, and they can concentrate on the rest of the group.
Yeah.
But top 2 qualify, third place team in the group goes into a playoff as well, so there's a really good chance. And it'd be great, wouldn't it, to see all the home nations, not just those with Everton players, but obviously like Wales as well, who, we grew up with Everton players playing for Wales, and you sort of get that little bit of an affinity with them, don't you?
Don't let any Liverpool fans hear you say that.
Oh, but with Wales, Scotland, we've all got a little affinity.
Yeah,
it's a very touchy subject in the country at the moment with the whole Scotland thing. But we have got a little.
Plus, we like going to Wales. Don't
we like going to Wales and everywhere. There's a little affinity for all our home nation. We'd like to see them all because it's never really happened. I mean, the last time 3 of them were in one tournament was in 1990. So it'd be great to get them all over there into France. It wouldn't be far for the fans to go, and it would just make it brilliant to see loads of Everton players playing in a championship.
It'd be great to see them. It'd be amazing for them all to be there. I mean, you might be just a little bit too young to remember Spain '82, but Northern Ireland, remember them beating Spain, which was an incredible result. Jerry Armstrong, who's now a summariser for La Liga, scored the only goal, and Northern Ireland were at the '86 World Cup as well. Pat Jennings in goal, and we've seen the Republic of Ireland at a few tournaments. Scotland always, as we were growing up, always seemed to be at these tournaments with England. But Wales have never been, certainly in our lifetime, have never been in any of these big
50s, I think. You have to go back to the 50s.
And so it'd be fantastic to see all of those there, and it'd really give the tournament a little bit of a different feel, and it'd give us a chance to want our home nations to do well.
What it'd also do is, from a larger point of view, is for teams like Wales, if they did get to a tournament that they're not used to, that would bump them up for the next World Cup as well. Because what they always do is they always fail, then end up being like 5th seeds in a World Cup group, and then they're playing all the best teams. So this would be a great chance.
Circle, really, isn't it? Because if you underperform, your points go down, and you end up getting put in groups with like Germany and Spain or something, and you've got next to no chance of getting out the group. So it's a good chance for them to establish themselves, and also a boost for the younger players in the country, because the likes of Wales and Scotland have had a drop off from people playing football, particularly Wales, which is predominantly a rugby country. Get them to a tournament to get the fans behind them. It gives that boost again to the kids as well.
Well, we hope to see them all there, all our players there as well. This has been Toffee TV for the Bleacher Report Team Stream app, talking about the international blues from Baz and Ped. We'll see you next time.